Warriors have made it back-to-back wins at home to start their NRL season. They picked up a 14-6 win over the Sydney Roosters to move to 2-1 on the NRL regular standings ladder. That means they're now 7th on the table, and as I said, back-to-back wins to make it 2 wins and 1 loss. This was actually a tight game, but the Warriors more clinical with their chances and able to take them and leading them to that second straight home win at Mount Smart. I'm Nick from Nickn'detail, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Warriors-Roosters game, which took place in Auckland last Friday evening. So let's get into it. That's right, both these teams were coming into this match with 1-1 records. The Roosters losing their first game of the season to the Broncos, but then they were able to beat the last 3 straight NRL Premiership winners, the Penrith Panthers, away from home the weekend beforehand, while the Warriors, of course, suffered a Las Vegas loss to the Raiders, but managed to bounce back at home with a win over the Sea Eagles. So this is always going to be an evenly tight contested match, and it very much showed that as well. Both these teams played out an absolute great game, and of course I'll get into that very shortly, but it was the Warriors who would come out on top for a second straight win at home, moving to 7th on the table with a 2 wins and 1 loss from their first 3 NRL regular season games. So, what are my thoughts on this game? This was a great game to watch. We'll kind of skip maybe the first 14 or so, or not for more specifically 14 minutes, but realistically the first kind of 20 minutes because nothing really happened. Once we got kind of past that first period of that game, we saw a really evenly tightly contested match. The Warriors actually looked really good. They were putting some good string of phases together, creating some good chances. Their wing play and their cross kicks have been really good in these first few games of the season so far. But then we saw the Roosters actually strike first with the opening try of the game. And I guess it was almost like the Warriors actually needed to concede first because once again they just took their chances. They actually just looked a lot more clinical and a lot more aggressive going forward, and of course very much deserving of that win. Yes, this was a tight game where the Roosters very much started both halves really well, but the Warriors, after those first 20 minutes of each half, really came into gear and really showed what this team can do this season, and very much, as I said, got that well-deserved run in front of another packed out Mount Smart Stadium, and yeah, overall a good performance from the Warriors. We had a few moments where they were a little bit shaky at the back, where particularly when they were being countered and also through the middle, but like I said, their wing play and their cross kicks switch worked out very, very well for them and gave them, a really good performance, a really good platform to build on. And yeah, for the Warriors, back-to-back home wins for them against, quality opposition this early on in the season. It's going to give them great confidence. And of course, like I said, 7th on the table at the moment. Of course, in that top 8 where you need to be for the finals come the end of the year. Overall, not a bad way to start the season for the Warriors. So a great game to watch by the Warriors. Just more clinical there, despite the Roosters having a few good moments there. But the Warriors, as I said, my deserved winners there. And of course, back-to-back wins at home for them is going to be great confidence for them and the fans going forward into the further rounds of this NRL season. So who was my standout player? Well, actually a few of them, but I'm going to give a shout out to Ali Latoa this week, the 22-year-old Auckland centre. He was great for the Warriors, 2 tries every time he had the ball in hand. He just looked dangerous and got 2 really good tries, well-deserved tries as well. I said, just so much confidence from this young man, showing just how good this Warriors development platform is looking for these young guys coming in to the NRL system. Considering if you look maybe a few years ago, there were many of them going to Australia because just the systems and their academies for those players coming through were just really good. But the Warriors over the last few years, you got to give them credit, have really built a nice platform very much since the COVID years, of course, where of course they were based over in Australia. But since then, we've just seen the Warriors youth system look really good and produce some really great talented players, and he is very much one of them and put on a great performance for the Warriors against the Roosters. As I said, 2 really good tries from him and just looked very dangerous every time he had the ball in hand. Just a dangerous player with the ball, but just that physical appearance that you need in this sort of competition. So my standout player is Ali Latoa. Good performance from the 22-year-old Auckland centre and 2 good tries as well from him as well. What turned out to be very important tries, and obviously what was a narrow 14-6 win, but I did a good performance from him, and of course giving him confidence as a young player going forward. It's going to be great for him going into, of course, the later part of the season when you really need these big, young, talented players turning up to really get you these points to get you into that top 8. So good performance from Ali Latoa. He was my player of the match, my star player for this game. So what's next for the Warriors? Well, they are actually back in action this Sunday evening. They take on the West Tigers, a team that also, like the Warriors, had disappointing last season, but have had, I guess, a little bit of a rebuild, and like the Warriors are 2-1 to start their season. They actually sit above the Warriors in 4th at the moment, just due to a better goal difference, but also, of course, bonus points, all the other etc. stuff you get in this sort of competition. That's what's next for the Warriors. They go to the West Tigers on Sunday night, 8:15 kickoff New Zealand time. What promises to be a great game of both these teams after disappointing last year's campaign. Are looking good so far to start this season. So that is next for the Warriors. They take on the West Tigers. So that's going to be it from me. Great performance from the Warriors. Another tight game between them and the Roosters. Of course, two teams coming into this game very much even in terms of how they've looked at this season so far. But the Warriors just more clinical. It's probably actually the best performance from the Warriors this season, even though, of course, you could say the Sea Eagles game was a much more convincing Warriors win. But against a team like the Roosters, and of course, like I said, the form these two teams were coming into this game with, I think it was a great performance that the Warriors needed. They just looked a lot more clinical going forward, something I've not really seen from a Warriors team for a while. And of course, a performance that they'll be very proud with. Of course, back-to-back games at home, but of course, on the road this week, of course, get a good result for them to get that win. And of course, this early on in the season, we really much need to be picking up these points. Indeed, for the Warriors, back-to-back home wins to start the season isn't too bad for them at all. That's going to be it for me, and until next time, I'll see you later.